they knew that something was happening when you have Air Force guys showing
Yes.
up to the Navy vessels.
So,
And this is a bit of an eye opener. So was that like something that you noticed? Like, oh well, they're not. Did they ever really come to visit you guys?
Very, very. Normally, when I got rid of those things for recording purpose or data purposes, it went by courier. It didn't go. Rarely did somebody actually come pick it up in person. Like I said, but once I connected with the Princeton guys and we pieced our stories together, I'm like, oh wow, this actually was what happened. You know?
Yeah.
And makes you wonder exactly what it was.
Greetings and welcome to the Vortex. I'm your host, Daniel Allen Jones, and I'm honored to be joined by PJ Hughes. PJ?
Nice to meet you.
Glad to be here with you.
Yes, sir.
So we're here at an event that's all about the UFO phenomenon, and people are looking at it from different angles. And you've been involved with something that you got to experience firsthand on the Nimitz. And we refer to this as the Nimitz encounter or the Tic Tac UFO. And this is something that's kind of surfaced in the public domain here recently, about a year ago. But you guys experienced this 15 years ago. And so share with us a little bit about what your experience was like aboard the Nimitz.
To be perfectly honestly, nothing was abnormal as far as I knew. I wasn't seeing all the same data the guys in the Princeton were seeing. What got very abnormal is the plane I work on is an E-2C Hawkeye, and we were airborne during Fravors intercept. And the equipment on my airplane records a lot of data, a lot of signal data, a lot of radar data, records basically everything the battle group sees. So it recorded the information the Princeton saw, it recorded the information the fighters saw, recorded the information we saw on our airplane, we even recorded the stuff the Nimitz will see. So it's a consolidated package of data for everything that was happening when it was flying. And when that plane gets back, we take all our classified bricks out, which actually record all that data, take it down, we lock it up in our safe. Normally it stays there until we need it to go flying again. And, you know, it just recycles. If it goes flying again, it'll record over the data if we don't take it off. But this time, my commanding officer, who normally doesn't visit our shop because we're way out in the middle of nowhere on the ship, comes knocking on the door. He's got 2 Air Force guys with him that I hadn't seen before. They didn't come on via COD, which is the passenger transport plane that brings people on. So the only way they got there was by helicopter. The helicopter lands on and off so many times you lose track of it.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to get on that way. But he basically says, I want all the stuff off that flight. So we kind of gather it all up, hand it to him, sign it out to him, and it just disappears. He leaves. I never see it again. I never see them again. And I have the privilege of speaking for, we've been calling him Roger. Did the same exact job I did, except he was flying on that airplane at the time. And he won't come forward for job security reasons, so we've been doing our best to protect him. But he was flying in the Hawkeye during that time, and they actually had the Tic Tac form up with the airplane. It formed up for a minute or so and then just took off. So there's 5 more people in an airborne plane that saw that asset, that saw that Tic Tac. And he was very uncomfortable when he got back. He had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. They got debriefed. When they started telling us what was going on, we kind of got shut down, and we were like, you guys have to stop talking about it. You can't talk about it.
Oh, wow.
You know, it never happened. But he signed paperwork saying you can't talk about it.
But you guys didn't,
yeah,
right?
I was just told to shut up.
Yeah.
It's
So
a different story.
It's a little bit more serious when you have to do that non-disclosure.
Yeah.
Because that can really affect your career.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get some severe punishment for that as well.
I mean, you can also end up in jail if you say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I've signed enough NDAs for enough other stuff. So it's... I know his feeling, which is why when he said, this is all I'm sharing...
Yeah.
You know, you respect the guy for it. You can't... But it makes me believe that there are other people in other situations who probably signed stuff. Because there's a whole group of people we haven't been able to connect with yet. All the guys on the Princeton, we've got the guys in the know there.
Yeah.
We've got the aviation side, the air wing side, me. But there's the same group of guys on the Princeton have an equivalent set of guys on the Nimitz.
Yeah.
That see all the same data, would have seen all the same stuff as the guys at the Princeton, We haven't been able to get any from anyone from there.
Haven't heard anything from those guys.
Correct.
So just for a little perspective, the Princeton, this is a much smaller vessel than the Nimitz that you
Correct.
were on.
I mean, they have a couple hundred people versus we have 5,000.
Yeah.
And it's like a mini city. It's very easy to get lost. It's very easy not to hear everything. And you kind of stay in your plane. You stay in your area, so you don't always interact with everybody else.
Yeah. So there are tons of people that could potentially know about this encounter and have some, detail on it that just haven't come forward, or we just don't know if they will yet. But we like to hope that maybe through these interactions they're a bit more encouraged to be able to do so, even if it's anonymously.
Correct.
And what was the impression like whenever you guys realized that you were dealing with unknowns?
Like I said, I didn't really get the whole story and the whole picture until I connected with Dave Beatty and the Princeton guys.
Yeah.
And we started piecing all our stories together. I was actually hitting a point where I thought some of my story was wrong in memory.
Oh, wow.
Like, I was thinking, okay, maybe those Air Force guys really didn't come.
Yeah.
Just because it's an odd event.
Well, that corroborates Jason Turner's account where he says the Air Force guys, they showed up and that this was a lot different. They knew that something was happening when you have Air Force guys showing up to the Navy vessels.
So,
and this is a bit of an eye-opener. So was that like something that you noticed? Like, oh, well, they're not... Did they ever really come to visit you guys?
Very, very... Normally, when I got rid of those things for recording purposes or data purposes, it went by courier. It didn't go... Rarely did somebody actually come pick it up in person. Like I said, but once I connected with the Princeton guys and we pieced our stories together, I'm like, oh, wow, this actually was what happened.
Yeah.
And makes you wonder exactly what it was, who it was, or, as I said in the conference last night, I do kind of believe it's more on the technology side that maybe it's ours, just because I know other things that are ours that not everybody knows about. But it's not, I'm not sold on that either. It could be somebody else's technology. It could be off-world technology, however you want to
Yeah. I think there are a lot of different possibilities, and while people generally like the idea that, oh, it could be aliens or something. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sounds really nice and fun. People generally have a good time with those concepts, but we have to go with the facts. We have to go with what you guys all saw from different vantage points. Mm-hmm. You've got these guys here on the Princeton, you're on the Nimitz, and then X number of people that haven't come forward that could possibly continue to corroborate what you guys already know. And so, like you said, we can't just really jump to the conclusion of saying, well, it's we know what it is for sure, when really everyone's talking about the unknown aspect of it, and it has to remain as such until we, if at all, any more information comes out. The Air Force guys seem to have taken an interest in it, and I think that's a little bit of a telling sign. With how that transitioned after the event, did you ever come across anyone before this has all come out here in the end of 2017? This is 15 years ago that you guys experienced this. Did you ever have a time from then to now that you ever encountered anyone? You talked to people about anything like that, or
no? Gary put it quite truthfully last night in their conference. A lot of times, the only time the story came out is when you had a lot of alcohol in you. Because nobody believes in it. It just comes out sometimes. And I'd honestly almost forgotten about it until I ran across Dave Beatty's Nimitz encounter video, and it kind of brought it all back, gave me chills.
Yeah.
I reached out to him, got connected with everybody else, and it was like, wow.
So you were there, and you were part of that, what's now being this kind of a significant find, which, it's not new, but to the public, it's something that's really eye-opening. So has this changed your perspective on the possibility of maybe not just alien life, but like you said, different forms of technology and what's out there?
Have you ever seen the movie Contact? I'm sure you have.
Oh, sure, yeah.
In that movie they say if there's nothing else out there, it's an awful waste of space.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe in that. But at the same time, I like to see before I believe.
Yeah, sure.
So I completely believe in the possibility, but I can never truly say yes until I've seen it for myself.
Yeah. So. I mean, we can always speculate all day long, and we can preface that this is mere speculation at this point.
Correct.
But it's like saying, we don't know what it is, but let's say potentially if there were people in that thing, that there would have to be some high sophistication degree of technology to allow them to make the maneuvers that they were doing.
Oh, exactly. There's no way a human body could have survived that without some crazy technology.
Yeah.
And if there was something from the off-world inside there, it's got some crazy technology to survive that to the knowledge we have.
Yeah. So hopefully we get a little bit more about the different insider perspectives on this, and that's going to be one of the only ways I think we might ever find out what these things really were, if we even can. Okay. But I think it's great to have your perspective in this, and so as a send-off, what would you tell the people that maybe think that all of these things like UFOs are imaginary or nonsense? What would you say to those kinds of people?
It's my first UFO conference, so to speak. I've never really been to one before. It's an eye-opening experience hearing the stories and the details from a wide variety of people. Average everyday people, PhDs. It's not just the crazies, and it's not just the super nerds, if you want to call them that.
Yeah.
It's a wide range of people, and it gives you an entirely different appreciation for events like this. So it definitely has pulled back some feelings and beliefs I've had, kind of making me rethink about them.
Great. Well, PJ, I really appreciate the time that you've come and taken to share all about this event. I think, it adds more cooperation, more assurance to those who feel like they've experienced something and they may be worried of the ridicule factor that they're going to compromise their career or their friends and family, but they know that they've had something happen, like what you guys experienced out there. And so hopefully we'll have more people connect and be able to share this type of information in a safe, supportive network. So once again, thanks for being a part of this.
Thank you.
If you liked this video, be sure to check out our other content and get connected on our page and social media sites. Every day, new discoveries are being made all across the world and beyond. So let's work together to find out what's next. And remember, we won't know if we don't go. I'll see you in the Vortex.